Okay, I get a second go at my introduction. So this will be the second year that CECCs are asked to include a communications plan in the RFA. Today we're going to discuss the nuts and bolts of building a communications plan, including identifying your audience, disseminating messages, incorporating social media, and utilizing tracking tools. Our commitment to school readiness for children requires us to go beyond improving programs. We must develop strategies that help every family, parent, and caregiver understand the importance of their role as their child's first and best teacher, and crafting and implementing communications plans allow CECCs to communicate purposefully with families and community members on the importance of early childhood. This is what we asked the CECCs to include last year in their communications plan. I'm going to read them. Applicants must submit a 1- to 2-page communication plan that details their council and community outreach efforts. Include all web-based applications that your council and council members plan to use, such as Facebook and Twitter. Detail relationships with local media sources, local business and community leaders, and elected officials. If the CECC has developed a website, explain what content is available and include the web address. Include community messaging accessibility, number of emails and addresses the CECC has access to, how many emails are sent and how often, what the target audiences are, and what is the expected growth of your communication outreach in the next year. If a CECC doesn't have an online presence in the local media or local media or community leader contacts, you will be asked to create a plan to share messages provided by our office and report the data regarding who has received a message, including the details above. So what is communication? Simply, it's the process of transmitting ideas and information. It can take many different forms. It can be word of mouth, news stories in print and broadcast media, press releases and conferences, posters, brochures, flyers, outreach and presentations to community groups and organizations, special events and open houses, and online forums like social media, website, and email. So this is an overview of what we're going to talk about today. The different elements of the communications plan: creating your objectives, identifying your audience, selecting your delivery mechanisms, crafting your messages, establishing a timeline and calendar, establishing responsibilities, tracking your reach, evaluation, and amending your strategy. All these steps are related to one another. You may have established your audience and moved on to crafting your message and find that you really need to add another audience or group, or to separate an audience or group, and you will have to go back to one of the other steps, but that is definitely okay. It's a work in progress. It's not a static document. And your plan will make it possible to target your communication accurately. It gives you a structure to determine whom you need to reach and how. It can be long-term, helping you map out how to raise your profile and refine your image in the community over time. It will make your communication efforts more efficient, effective, and lasting. And it just makes everything easier in general. If you spend some time planning at the beginning of an effort, you can save a great deal of time later on because you know what you should be doing at every point in the process. So after you go through all these steps, you bring them all together in a document such as this one, so you can share it with your members and you can edit it later on. There are templates for communications plans online, but this is the one that I believe we're going to ask you to use when it comes time for you to submit your RFA, and my templates will be available to you guys on your website. First up is crafting your objectives, and your objectives and your outcomes should not be the communication itself. When you're writing your objective or purpose, think about how you can support your CECC's goals through communication. What do you want to be different as a result of communicating? And here are some examples of what that could look like: becoming known or better known in the community, encouraging business and community partners, engaging citizens in early childhood advocacy, educating the public, or rallying supporters or the general public to action. And it's important through all of this to speak with one voice and to not have messages that are conflicting or louder than one another. So first, there's the question of what groups you're going to focus on. You can group people according to a number of characteristics, demographics, geography. You might want to focus on a whole town or region or on one or more neighborhoods. You may take things into consideration like employment, health, behavior, or attitudes. And you should target audiences that you need to communicate with to achieve your goals or objectives. The best audiences to target may not always be the most obvious. Targeting audiences such as the media may not help you achieve your goals. And each audience may be addressed in different tone and through different means, for example, reaching elected officials through a Facebook post is less likely than reaching parents. You will have an overall messaging. You will have overall messages that could be appropriate for every audience, but you're also going to have specific messages appropriate for only some audiences. So here are a few categories that you could identify to communicate with: family and community, parents, grandparents, foster parents, family members, stakeholders, local elected officials, schools, child care programs. So to bring together a little bit of what we talked about and some of what we're going to talk about in a second, if you have made a goal of increasing the number of children in your community who score average or above average on the Brant language and communications domain, and you have identified Facebook as a way to reach mothers, because when you reviewed your demographics, you see you have 80% females in the 18 to 45 age range, for instance, then sharing an article on the importance of reading to your children on Facebook would be aligned with your goals and targeting the right audience through an appropriate mechanism. So delivery mechanisms. The delivery mechanism for your message will depend on your audience and the particular message, and more than one mechanism may be used for the same message. Identifying the delivery mechanism or the activity that is most appropriate to communicating the right message to the right audience. So some mechanisms could be social media, website, newsletters, electronic or printable, postcard campaigns, events, meetings, letters to the editors, flyers. Creating an overall elevator pitch or a short summary used to quickly and simply define your objectives as a CECC is a good first step in crafting your message. And you should when crafting your messages, consider your audience and adjust your language and tone accordingly. Keep your messages as short and concise as possible, and remember that communications is all about storytelling, using interesting narrative and human interest stories. You should have a limited number of messages you're trying to deliver. If you try to deliver too many messages, you'll lose focus and your audience can walk away without hearing any of the messages. So some example messages could be school readiness definition, early literacy, available resources, the kindergarten screener, professional development, strengthening families, race to the top. And sources for messaging, you can do newspapers, social media, other social media, the monthly messages that come out of our office, and other CECCs. Monthly messages, you were all very familiar with those. You have been the natural delivery mechanism for these. As you know your community the best, and you have the connections necessary to disseminate them. And you've done an outstanding job at doing that. And it's just one example of a vehicle for messaging through newsletters. So here are some tools or delivery mechanisms that we're going to talk about. There are plenty more out there, but these are a few that I'm going to touch on. And if it's not deep enough and you need more information after the webinar, feel free to reach out to me. Facebook and Twitter, I've seen some CECCs already beginning the use of those. And I've also seen CECCs working with Weebly for their websites. There's also WordPress, Drupal. Issue is for newsletters. If you have a newsletter that you would like to turn into an electronic copy, you can upload it to Issue and share from there. Listservs, like Constant Contact, which you receive a lot of messages from us from, and then also MailChimp. Then there are tracking tools. Most of these online tools will have tracking and analytics built into them. Bitly is specifically for shortening URLs, and it gives you a lot of tracking behind it. So social media can be cumbersome to keep up with, but it's an important element of being visual and accessible to your community. Use it not only to share messages with your community, but receive messages as well. Interaction is key. So why social media? According to Nielsen's State of the Media, the social media report, people spend more time on social networks than any other category of sites. And the report also shows that parents are more likely than non-parents to use social media to find how-to information. So Twitter, I'm sure all of you are familiar with Twitter, but just in case, we'll go over a few points. Tweeting gives you a direct line to your community. It instantly connects and empowers people with your message. You should create tweets that resonate. You should tweet useful and interesting content in an engaging tone, including links, pictures, videos, and you should remember to keep your tweets timely. Keep your tweets short and sweet. Tweets are limited to 140 characters, so they can be consumed easily anywhere, even via mobile text messages. There's no magical link for a tweet, but a recent report by Buddy Media revealed that tweets shorter than 100 characters get a 17% higher engagement rate. Make it real time. Timing matters, especially for breaking news or live tweets. The best way to optimize the timing of your tweets is to test and learn. And follow other people on Twitter who interest you. Following is a great way to discover compelling content and inspire ideas for your own tweets. Follow accounts that are relevant to your community or CECC. I think I miss tweet often, but you should tweet often. Like timing, tweet frequency depends on a number of variables, such as your audience. Twitter recommends tweeting between 3 to 5 tweets per day, and you may want to try tweeting a couple times a day to begin with and see how your audience reacts, and you can adjust from there. Here is an example of some of the tweets from the Governor's Office of Early Childhood. You can see our fearless leader demonstrating the Brigance kindergarten here for us. Facebook. Your Facebook page makes your CEC discoverable. When people search for you on Facebook, they'll be able to find you. Makes you connected. You have one-on-one conversations with community members. They can like your page, read your post, and they can share you with their friends. Makes you timely. Your page can help you reach large groups of people frequently with messages tailored to their needs and interests. And insightful. Analytics on your page will give you a deeper understanding of your community. Your page is an extension of your CECC. It helps you engage with your community members on a desktop or a mobile device. And people don't just Google for an organization when they're looking for information, they Facebook them as well. And what's most important about social media sites like Facebook and Twitter is responding to people reaching out to you. They need to know that you are on the other end. I usually try and respond to people on our page within 24 hours at the very most. So listservs. A listserv is an application that distributes messages to subscribers on an electronic mailing list. There are a few options out there for you. We use Constant Contact, so the messages you get from us are created in Constant Contact. It does have a cost associated with it. For 0 to 500 contacts, it's $15 a month, and the bump up to that is 501 to 2500 for $30 a month. MailChimp is similar to Constant Contact, but it does have a free level for up to 2,000 subscribers, and you can send up to 12,000 emails. And both Constant Contact and MailChimp have great analytics on the back end that will see who's opening, how often they're clicking, and things of that nature. Newsletters is something that we send out through listservs. It helps us streamline information to speak with one voice and solicit feedback. Issue has also been used to post our newsletters. Newsletters are good for an engaged audience. So if you have an audience that you work closely with and you need to send them different information on a regular basis, a newsletter would be a good option. Building a website. There's been a lot of interest from our CECCs recently around getting up a website. There are many ways to go about creating a website and many tools to do it. It can be completely free or very, very expensive. Here are a few examples of the CEC web pages. When I was researching, I saw a few had been made with Weebly, which is something that I'm recommending some CECCs check out. It's a really great starting point. It's free and it's easy, and you can draw on your other council's experiences when it comes to building the web pages. You can use your website to create content on social media, and you can add the web address to flyers, business cards, bring it up at events to create traffic. Tracking is a very important component to your communications plan. It's what allows you to go back later and adjust your plan to know that you are achieving what your objectives are. This is the backside of Constant Contact, so I can see how many people I sent it to, how many opened it, and how many clicks there were. That's right, CECCs. I know if you are opening our emails. I'm looking at all of you who haven't opened my emails. We actually do have a pretty good open rate. For the industry standard for education and training email campaigns is 36.1%, and you can see that we're at a 32.1%, so that's not too shabby. And Constant Contact and MailChimp both will show you how other organizations are faring on their open rates to give you an idea of where you are. Something else that tracking allows you to do is get to know your audience. So what time of day are people accessing your information? What kind of content attracts their attention? These are other things that you can use to amend and adjust your comm plan as you go along. Bitly, I referenced it earlier. It's integrated a lot with email and Facebook and Twitter. You can cut and copy a web address. So if you have a really long web address and you want something shorter to include in a tweet, you'll copy it into the Bitly platform. It'll shorten it for you. You can customize the end, and then as people click on it, it will tell you which site it came from. So if you had it on Twitter and Facebook, it would record that it was clicked on through Twitter, and it will tell you how many people, where they live, and what time of day they clicked on it. Facebook, great tracking tools. This is an example. You can see the views that were captured at the moment, 297 and 8 shares. This is the background of Facebook that the admins can see. Here you can see the Governor's Office of Early Childhood has 88% of women as fans, as compared to 46% of all Facebook, and 10% of men as fans, as compared to 54% of all Facebook. We can also see what languages are spoken and what cities people are from. Another section on the back of Facebook, you can see page likes. You can see engagement. Engagement is the number of people who saw your post versus the number of people who interacted with your post. So that's sharing, clicking, liking. And this all helps you adjust to what content you're putting out there to help maximize your reach. This is the post level data from Facebook. We can see here what kind of content, really get down to the details of what kind of content people are responding to. So finally, you'll take all this information, all the steps that you've gone through, you'll put it into your communications plan, and from that you'll assign people who are responsible for executing your plan, and you'll also put a timeline to it. This is another template that will be available to you. It's created in Excel. The dates will correspond to pullouts with more information. And it's a great tool for keeping your communications on track and in line with your plan. When making your calendar, keep in mind that you need to deliver on your promise and to not overpromise. You should set appropriate levels of expectations, keeping in mind the level of time and human financial resources are available to you. So I'm going to turn it back over to Amanda Flannery. She's got some updates and announcements to make, and I'm going to also look at the questions over here in the chat box and see if there's anything we need to address. Amanda?
Thanks so much, Courtney. Thanks so much, Courtney. I think that was a lot of really, really great information. I know that one of the things that I really like to do is look through the click-throughs to see who's reading our newsletters and all of that stuff as well. I know that you guys have really been working hard to make sure that that information gets out there as well. So just a few quick things to let you guys know about if you were able to read our newsletter from last week. The CECCs have been, the CECCs have been invited to attend the early Learning Leadership Networks hosted by the Kentucky Department of Education. Here are the dates on those at the local or at the regional RTCs. And we've been invited, we were invited to come to those last year as well, and I think that it was a really good experience for the chairs who were able to attend, and I hope that we do get some more folks out there. We have been asked that if you are a preschool coordinator and plan on attending the RTC, or I'm sorry, planning on attending the Ellen meeting, that you have someone else come instead of you, someone else representing the CECC, specifically, hopefully someone from child care. So please get those on your calendar. Make sure if you can make it out to any of those, we'll be out there too. So see you there. The other big one that everybody our next webinar is going to be on March 13th. As I said earlier, we're moving more into the talking about the grant cycle, so we're going to be focusing a little bit more on that as far as the profiles and expectations for the RFA this year. And this is one of the things that everybody has been asking me about, the regional trainings. These are the regional trainings that we've been talking about since last fall. Because we are asking everyone to attend the Ready Kids Conference in June, we will not be hosting a CECC Institute this year. So what I'll be doing is going around the state and sitting down with CECCs on a regional basis to talk about the RFA and how to write an effective grant and all of that. So this is the list of what we have so far. Unfortunately, we don't have actual places for all of those yet, but that does give you an idea of where we'll be and when we will be there. So if anybody has any questions, as usual, feel free to give me a call or send me an email at any time, and we will type this up and make sure that it gets out to everybody within the next week. And then finally, as I mentioned, the Ready Kids Conference, you guys are going to be hearing more and more and more about this. It's going to be June 16th through the 18th in Louisville. We are in the process right now of putting some of the final pieces together. We're hoping that registration for that is going to be opening soon, so definitely keep your eye out for that. There's going to be a lot of stuff happening in March, so we're going to be releasing, everyone should anticipate the RFA timeline to remain pretty similar to what it was last year. So probably around mid-March will be the release of the RFA, and then I will again hit the road for those regional meetings to talk more about the RFA, and then there will be a CECC track at the Ready Kids Conference where we'll kind of continue along with some of the other conversations that we've had with you guys about leadership and working within your community and all of that. So that is all that I have. You guys had a really great and robust conversation in the chat box. I really appreciate everyone's ideas. That's exactly what we do these things for, is to make sure that you guys are all talking and using best practices across the state. So we hope that that continues with our with the future webinars. And it does look like we do have a couple of questions. Courtney, I don't know if you had any questions while I was talking that you might want to read out for everybody.
Yeah, I'll address one that we had. We had a question: do you have to reach a certain number of likes to see the analytics information? And the answer is no, but it does depend on what kind of account you have your CECC set up as. It can't be a personal Facebook account that you're using as a CECC account. It has to be as an organization or a business account for you to get that sort of information on the backside.
And those are pretty, actually, I don't know if any of you guys have set those up yet, but those are pretty easy to set up you do need to have a personal Facebook account attached to it. So generally it's the chair, or if you guys have someone working part-time, they may attach it to theirs. But you do have to have that live personal Facebook page to get that set up.
And I will add that in the past, not this past newsletter, but the two before that, we had a detailed description of Twitter and Facebook on how to get started with creating those accounts, and some definitions, especially when it came to Twitter, to help you guys get in and start using it.
All right, it looks like we have a couple of questions coming up here. Can you put this on the website? Not able to hear on your computer. We'll definitely send out a link with a YouTube link attached to it so that you guys can go ahead and take a look at this. We'll also I'll type up some of the great best practices that we've got and make that available to you guys as well. Like I said, it was a really great conversation via the chat box if everybody was looking at that, so it was great. All right, we've got a couple more, looks like we got a couple more typing messages. Are we now required to set up a CECC-specific web page or Facebook? I currently distribute stuff through my extension Facebook page, and our council members also distribute through their well-built Facebook groups. I can't imagine having the time to maintain another separate social media group. It's not required. It's definitely not required. We do think that Facebook and Twitter, while I think most of the local organizations around the CECC table are probably going to have them, but it might be a really great kind of idea to bring all of those into one Facebook page. So that you're sharing the information not only through the cooperative extension, but also through the child cares and all of that kind of stuff. But I do understand it is difficult to, you know, as Courtney said, it's as much about time resources as it is financial resources and a lot of those. So, you know, do what you can. We are hoping that we can get most everybody up, but we understand if it's time limited. All right, great. Well, we got you guys out of here pretty quick today. As Courtney said, if you have any further questions about any of the information that we talked about, any of the analytics that she showed you through the back end of the Facebook and Twitter pages and all of that kind of information, please don't hesitate to reach out and give us a call. And we really appreciate your time this afternoon. Hope everybody's staying warm. And I know the sun's shining here, but it definitely doesn't look all that warm outside. So we'll see you guys next month. Thank you so much, Courtney, for joining us today.